Okay, I'm bringing y'all in here, and I don't know if you can see it. You can't really see the bump. There's a little bit of a bump there. And you see the paint, oops, see the paint in the middle? That's where I ground off the weld. And that is where, actually this is where a Sawzall came through and cut the weld out here on this edge because I couldn't reach it with any other tool I had. This right here is the bump. Come on, focus, baby. There you go. That's the bump. And then here is some more. And there's a bad one. Can you see that? Look, I'll stick my finger behind it. You see that? That's a big old lump. And then there's some lumpy, crappy welding on here. And then, yeah, I tried to grind that one out already. And then we come over here to this side. And then she'll focus. You see that? That sticks up almost a 1/4 inch. Then there's another one here. I know he ain't picking it up. I can see it looking at it, but here it just looks like a big blob. And then here. Now you can see those sharp defined edges there. And how in the world, I guess it's because they had it painted, that the weld metal just went on and slid up underneath. And that means that it wasn't clamped together very well either. And again, Sawzall. Now the Sawzall seems to have taken away a little bit of the parent material there, and I did the best I could, but we're going to do what we got. But then there's a big old lumpy caterpillar weld right here, and again, this one wasn't touching, so if you come over here, you see how that is bridged? Yeah, so this whole beam wasn't even sitting square. It was, yeah, so anyhow, here's another one here, and another one here, and then I have to cut at least one of these shackle sets off because, no, I have to cut both of them off because they got the perches in the wrong spot. The perch, this one is offset, and if you can look down it, you see how this one is offset way to the inside, and then this one is set off to the outside. And I was trying my damnedest to get the axle centered on the frame with the wheel center on the frame, and it just wasn't happening because of the way the perches are put on. And the spring shackles, one of them was riding perfectly center, and the other one was rubbing the side of the spring enough that it actually left a groove. So yeah, that perch is way off, and that slip spring perches, that was actually kind of center. But we're going to remove those as well. And the first things first is I got to remove that one. I got to grind all this stuff clean, and now that I have it flipped over, I can get those caterpillars. And I've been grinding the caterpillars off because the saw has been jumping, using the grinding disc to cut these. It's been jumping real bad on those. So I've been grinding them as flush and straight a line as I could down to the parent material, and then I can kind of see where I need to work a little bit better than just trying to go in on top of a lump and go in there. But I got to grind all these flat and prepare that for weld. And that was marker lights. Yeah, these two, but I got to grind those off in order to get to the lumpy weld behind it. And it's a lot of work. So I'm going to put you on time lapse. If you want to watch for a little bit, feel free. I might speed it up when we get back. Now, this is September 5th, and look at my yard. Look at the leaves from one tree. We're in a little bit of a drought. And this tree normally does this every year, a month before everybody else. It says, oh, the days are getting short. It's a river birch. The days are getting short, so I'm going to drop all my leaves. And I need to hurry up because the river birch is providing the shade for this project. So if that's what the river birch is starting to look like, then we need to hurry up with this project because I will run out of shade, but it won't be so hot, but it'll be terrible to video. So I'll be back in a bit. So I had an epic time lapse going, right? And I had on my headphones, or my earmuffs, and my glasses, and my breathing mask, and I was rolling. And I just spent like 40 minutes grinding. And I had this recording on time lapse, and I said, okay, my back has had enough. I stood up and I walked over here, and yeah, apparently it had been turned off for like 15-20 minutes because somebody called on my phone and it turned off my time lapse. So yeah, well, sorry y'all missed it, but whatever. Yeah, so we got something else going on here. I got bent beams, and I'm going to use that beam and that railroad beam there. We're going to straighten them back out, but like I said, it's break time, and I'll show you all that when we get to it. Sorry to do that to you, but the batteries were overheating on the die grinder, and I pulled two out that I thought were fully charged, and they happened to be 2 bars in them. So between overheated batteries and 2 bars, I was getting frustrated, so I turned it off because I couldn't get it off. And I was like, well, while I sit here and wait, let me go at it. And I managed to cut off the slipper spring perch there and the rear end way over here at the back end. I cut the whole beam off the back, both sides, and I got the slipper perch over here done. And I got half of the spring perch right there, and the spring perch over there is what I was just getting ready to work on. But yeah, I was trying to do a time lapse of it, and I couldn't. I was running out of time, running out of batteries. So anyhow, it's kind of hot out here, and wearing that breathing mask is really just overheating me like you wouldn't believe. So anyhow, I just clue y'all into what's going on here, and I'll get back to y'all in a little bit.